In this video, I'm going to break down what an emotion is and why it's so important that we gain awareness around our emotions. And then I'm going to give you 4 questions that you can ask yourself to create an outcome in your life using the power of emotion. So let's get started. Some say that emotions are energy in motion. And I love this analogy because it speaks to the complexity of the psychological and physiological states that we can experience when we're moving through emotions. We need energy to create movement in our lives. Emotions can be influenced by a variety of factors: environmental, personal experiences, genetics, and biology. They can also be shaped by social or cultural norms. Emotions are complex and multidimensional experiences that involve a range of feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. Our feelings are caused by our thinking, whether that's unconscious or conscious. Now, the reason it's so important that we gain awareness around our emotions is because it drives our behavior. It is why we do or don't do anything. Think about that for a moment. Why is it that you go to the gym and work out? Maybe you want to feel healthy. Maybe you want to feel strong or attractive. On the contrary, why don't you go to the gym and work out if that's something that you struggle with or have in the past? Maybe you feel unmotivated, discouraged, or lethargic. We can use emotions to get what we want out of life because we know that everything we do or don't do is because of a feeling. Now, I'm going to share with you the exact exercise that I've used in my life many times when wanting to create a desired outcome. Now, a while back, I was asked to speak at a women's event. Now, as much as I wanted to do this, I was incredibly nervous, but there was something that was deep inside of me that kept pushing me towards it. So I knew that I had to overcome any uncomfortable emotions that surrounded it. My mind was giving me all the reasons as to why it was a horrible idea. It came up with all of the excuses in the world. I was going to forget what to say, that people were going to judge me, that everyone already knew this stuff anyways. So, what was the point? I was literally talking myself out of it because I had so much anxiety about how I thought I was going to feel in the future: nervous, embarrassed, worried. And it's really hard to take action from that state of mind. So, how did I go from that to actually following through with my commitment? Here is the process. Number one, identify all of the thoughts that you have creating these uncomfortable emotions. For every emotion, there should be one thought. So get out a piece of paper and write down every single emotion that you're feeling, and then try to identify what that thought is that's connected or generating that feeling. Number two, you need to ask yourself, are those thoughts true? Now, here you have to be honest with yourself. The brain is very tricky, so it tries to convince you that those things are true. But maybe you can ask a friend, is this really true? The third question that you need to ask yourself is, what do I need to feel in order to take this action? Now, sometimes we're not always going to feel a positive emotion that's going to create the behavior of taking action. And I'll go through that a little bit later through an example. After you understand what feeling you need to embody to create that action, you also need to understand, this is number 4, you need to ask yourself, what thought do I need to believe in order to generate that emotion? And this takes practice. This is about getting to know yourself, knowing your emotions, knowing what drives you. And sometimes at this point, it's also helpful to have a coach because this practice is repetition. It takes time and energy and a lot of conscious awareness. Okay, so let's go through an example. Let's use the scenario that I talked about earlier about talking or speaking at a women's event. The first question is to identify all of the thoughts that are creating the emotion. Now, you're going to have many thoughts and many emotions. So let's just choose one for this example. The emotion that I was feeling was nervousness. And the thought that was creating that nervousness emotion was that I thought I was going to forget what I was going to say. And then we ask ourselves question number two: is it true? No, it's not true. I hadn't even done the thing, and I haven't even put myself in that position yet. So I was future tripping on myself. Our brains are so good at this, and it's our job to interrupt it. And by asking ourselves, is it true? It will help redirect the brain. Number three, what did I need to feel in order to take that action? Okay, well, I wanted to feel confident, but I know that was not available. And confidence actually comes as a byproduct once we've taken the action. So I knew that the confidence was not attainable. It was not something that I could access. What I needed to feel was the emotion of willingness. I had to be willing to feel uncomfortable. The thought, number four, the thought that I used or that I actually believed that helped me embody the emotion of willingness was I can experience discomfort and still show up for myself. So that was the magical thought that I practiced believing that allowed me to feel willing and then take the action of going to the event, speaking a little bit uncomfortable. Yes, at the beginning, of course, I was nervous, but I was able to prove to myself that I could handle the emotion. And that is truly what life is about handling the positive or embracing and enjoying the positive and also embracing and experiencing the negative. So, today, in this video, you learned what an emotion is, why it's so important that we understand our emotions, and then the four questions that we can ask ourselves when we're trying to take action and using the power of emotion. Number one, identify all of the thoughts that are creating the unwanted feeling. Number two, ask ourselves, is it true for every single one? Number three, we need to ask ourselves, what do I need to feel in order to take action? And then number four, what thought is going to generate that feeling for me?